female bodybuilding channel behind the female muscle series, and having Tolga back. There was some great views on the first one, but then we had an issue. Anyway, before we go into it, both of you guys have won pro card since we've seen you last time. You start with you, Tolga. How did it feel for you? The first female bodybuilding pro card of 2026, I believe, in Sweden.
Yeah, it was really good. Rebecca did really well. You were there in person, obviously, so you got to see that. She blew it out the water. I think we just need to come in a little bit drier and a bit more peeled in the glutes if we want to be more competitive. But she's now in off season, so it's getting serious. She's already up 7 pounds, which is good. And it's just size. So
how is it for a coach to prep to peak someone on a completely different time zone? She was in European time and you were in American time. How did that go as a coach?
Sacrifice. If you love this, you'll get up. You will switch your time zone around to the athlete's time zone. So I switched 4 days out from the show. I always switch out to the athlete's time zone. So I wake up when they wake up. If you can't do that as a coach, you really don't love what you do. It's just that simple. I'm sure Zimmermann's the same. Like if he has an athlete that's different time zone, he wakes up around those times. Like the first night I did a 24 hours. I didn't sleep just to acclimate myself to their time zone. But it's tough. It is really tough. Like it takes a toll on you, dude.
And were you happy with her? It's very rare that a female in women's bodybuilding can pose like this for the first time on stage. Were you happy with her? It wasn't flawless, but it was very good. You know, first time, we were happy with it.
Yeah, we were. I got my wife, obviously, Rania, who's a women's bodybuilding pro, to do her posing. And we slammed her 2 weeks out every single day. You're going to get on a call. You're going to do posing round after round after round. And I think Rebecca quickly realized, like, it's hard. This is hard. Like she was shaking. She was unconditioned from posing, but eventually she caught up really quick. So posing needs a lot of work, obviously, for the next show she does. And we're looking at next year, probably March or May, around there, to do the next show. Whatever the first Europe show it is, she's off to do that.
Yeah. If it's like this year, its first one is actually not until now in June with the M-Pro. Hopefully something will change for next year. If not, I think Triple O in America, usually around April.
Yeah, I think they'll bring a couple more shows after they see this year how many girls are actually competing.
Yeah, bring women's bodybuilding to FIBO.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
But they should.
Yeah. Zimmermann, you also had a pro card win this time, and I've seen her a couple of times. And for people, that's Lucia from Slovakia, only 23-year-old. Talk to us a little bit about, so she had phenomenal condition to be figure. Talk to us a little bit how the weekend went for you guys.
It was great because we could have been a bit drier, especially for the next day for the women's physique, because her glutes weren't like peeled. And also I saw her the first time live 10 days before when she came to Germany. So it's always you get a different look on the athlete when you only see the person before online. But it was great. It was very like we've been very careful with the card because everyone saw her 5 weeks ago at the regional
show.
Yeah, and we did obviously more carbs this time, but she was way more peeled and she was spilled at the regional. But like I said, it was only the regional, and this time she was spot on. The only pain was like she was backstage for 2 hours or so. So she's one who gets flat pretty quickly, but yeah, of course, there needs to be work done till her pro debut. We also don't do the M-Pro now next week because she needs size, she needs time. She's only 23. She's great. She has great potential. And everything went pretty good. Of course, a lot of work also when you're there in person, with peeking and looking at her after every second meal at least. Yeah, to get the best out of it, and finally then win the pro card. Yes.
Is it harder or easier, or is there no difference when you're 23 to get them into great condition than if you are 45, for instance?
I think it's not easier because normally they don't have the muscle quality at this age, and at age 45 you have sometimes the problem that the skin is already a bit loose. When they lose a bit of fullness, then the muscle is not pushing against the skin, and you have this loose skin there, which is also not good. So it's both. It's you need to find balancing. It's a balancing act for the younger athletes, which are maybe not that peeled, but Lucia was, and the older athletes who may be struggling a bit with their skin.
This episode, hopefully, we can get some debates. We're tired of being friends all the time, so we hope to have some intellectual discussions. Women's bodybuilding, figure, and women's physique has evolved a lot since back in the day. The first women bodybuilding girls obviously would now be, I wouldn't say small figure, but they would be figure athletes. And the women's physique girls today, as you guys seen, would be the women's bodybuilders of yesterday and so forth. So it's more size, and obviously that's an evolution of everything. Everything gets better. It's not just the females. You can compare Nick Walker to Sean Ray. It's not even close. So it's evolution. We are getting bigger, and while we're getting bigger, we need to grow in the off season. So we've seen a lot of coaches lately bragging on their Instagrams, Zimmermann, and about people eating 6,000 up to 7,000 calories for an off season to gain muscle. First, Tolga, explain a little bit for an athlete to gain muscle for an off season. How much calorie would you say is needed for hypertrophy to get bigger over your maintenance? Let's say your maintenance is like 2007 or 2008, 3000. It depends. How much more would you say for a healthy body if there's nothing wrong with the hormones and they're in off season, first without no steroids, and is there any difference with steroids? And how much would you say?
So obviously it's individual, right? We've got individual athletes. Everyone's metabolism is different. It's a blanket statement to say that, you need X amount of calories to grow. We've got athletes, Zimmermann and I both have athletes that you put them in prep and you get kind of shocked at 4 weeks out, like 4 weeks out. Now they're growing and you're like, what's going on? Like, how is this traversing? So each person's different. I like to go by the base rule of go to maintenance and we go up just a little bit to see how much weight you gain. Now, you don't want the weight obviously to grow too quick. You don't want it to be going on you so quick that you just have to snowball it back. There's a lot of differences when it comes to each athlete. Like I said, again, I think some people sort of jump the gun in off season and they chase the scale weight and they don't chase the quality weight that's meant to be put on. And I don't know I think that's a bit lost in translation with some of these girls doing 6,000 calories a day, 7,000 calories a day. People are shocked by it, in my opinion, because they're not seeing how did this person first start off bodybuilding? Were they a very smaller individual? Did they have a very fast metabolism? Do they require this much food in the first place? If you're a bigger person and you're naturally big from a younger age, you're not going to require as much food, in my opinion, right? Like it's the same with guys. If we compare it to like the female bodybuilders to the guys, it's the same across the board. The food is the food. If you're getting junk processed food in, it's just rubbish calories. You're not actually getting good nutrients. The number one rule is getting good, healthy nutrients from good, clean food. That's what's going to make you grow. If you
let's say the maintenance is around 3,000 and the female athlete is not anorectic from the beginning or a hard gainer.
I can give you exactly what we did with Rania as an example for her off season. That's a very easy way to go about this. Her maintenance is 2,600. We pushed her off season to 3,200. I called it there and I just kept her at 3,200 and improved her condition by training harder and using intensity methods over just pushing more food. Yeah, we had some refeeds of like.
So you only went up 600 calories for the entire off season.
For the entire off season. And then obviously in prep, I've pushed her up to 800 carbs a day. I pushed her up to 1,200 carbs a day on refeeds. And people always say, like, how is she eating this much? They're looking at a snapshot in time. They're not eating this every single day. So I don't know how Zimmermann does his coaching, obviously.
So Zimmermann, your explanation on this. We've seen, for instance, Carla, we're going to edit her in. She's going from figure to women's physique, and we've seen she put on a lot of mass, and she's eating around 6,500 consistently, correct? This entire offseason.
Yeah, she put on 70 pounds since December.
Wait. So she put on, and first of all, she's not a young girl. She's close to 40, correct?
Yeah, no, 34.
Oh, she's not. Are you sure
Not
about that?
young, yeah, but not young for
No, but
like, yeah.
34 is not close to 40. That's two different things. Someone
34
34.
is, 34 is prime bodybuilding years.
That's prime.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she's put
true.
on 70 pounds since her contest stage was in December. I remember in the Netherlands, and now she's 70 pounds up.
Yes. So
How?
yeah, I always go pretty fast, pretty high with food after the competition. And you also need to say she was coming out of a good spot body fat wise. So she was not fat or anything. She was pretty lean
I
right
would
after
hope she was leave. She just
not
competed.
yeah, but not like women's physique lean or even
Okay.
figure. It was okay.
Yeah.
But let's say lean. And then we just jumped on a baseline diet. I don't know what it was, but it was like double the calories she was eating.
Double
And
the
then
calories.
yeah, already like bump the fats up. So I would say I've done it differently than Tolga, for example, now with her. But you always need to
It's the
take into
athlete.
consideration the body fat, where's the athlete coming from. But I also just find it cool when you can say like, hey, these girls are eating the same
So you
as the
found
men.
it cool because Adamnia was also lean. Remember, she's also came from a competition where she was also she wasn't like shredded, but was in great shape for her women's bodybuilding debut. So they were
Yeah.
kind of similar. Well, maybe Adamnia was a little bit harder, but like they were kind of the same. They
Rania was harder
started.
and more muscular. Okay, yes, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
So he
But that
started with 3-2, and you went up straight, doubling it.
yeah, like anything from I don't know her maintenance
Yeah.
calories, but I just saw that she's really sticking to the diet and her weight dropped and dropped and dropped, but she looked bigger, obviously. And then we cut out cardio. She already had low cardio. And then at a certain point, I just said, okay, I don't know where to increase your rice or whatever. Let's just do cheat meals. And
Yeah.
there it was where, like, every 5 days, she went up by 500 grams or so. And this is how, like, she put on like 2 pounds a week, three maybe.
But let's just correct it, right?
Relatively
That's what
lean.
happens when an athlete actually does what you tell them to do and they're
That's
on the
another
plan.
thing. I would only do this when I know they getting in all the same foods every day. They're eating clean. They're not because I'm asking, hey, do you really get all this food in? Are you struggling with food? Is your appetite still there? Is your sleep decreasing? Because then you need to stop because pushing this food that high for 20 plus weeks is normally, I would say, the edge where
Exhausting.
you, yeah, like after 20 weeks, you need a break. Your
So she was
digestion,
eating
your whole,
around 4,000. So she was eating around 4,005, and with the cheat meals once or twice a week, it came up to 6,000 a week. Is that what you're saying? Or she was
every
eating
day, cheat meal every day.
every day,
Otherwise, you can't get in all those calories.
Yeah.
She's
every
eating
day.
rice, oats,
Okay.
blueberries, and then, of course, we went up with the fat, but I don't like to go over 120 grams of
Yeah,
fat.
But
that's
one
another
thing about
problem.
that, Tolga, what is the risk? Because I'm getting the most important for a woman on stage is her waist. Without the waist, nothing's going on. So
Yeah.
are we worried about the waist? Bro, when you're eating like this, you might grow, but what
It-
about, is there issue with the waist? Because
it-
when you're 34, you're not young anymore. The waist.
I think it can happen, right? With that amount of volume of food, the waist can blur a little bit, but there is techniques to bring that waist back in when you're in prep. There is a technique to do it. We can do anything nowadays, but the sheer volume of food will give discomfort. But if the athlete's eating that much, it's fine. Like Rebecca's eating, I think, 5,200 at the moment. She's
how much?
fine. 5,200. So 5,200 calories.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah.
So yeah, and it only works if the athlete does the job from day one. They understand, okay, I've just competed, it's back to work tomorrow. This only works if that happens. If the athlete can't put two and two together in their head and they just want to fuck off their diet for 2-3 days, it ruins everything.
Yeah.
Because
So
that window that you have for that week after the show is the most important time for your gut microbiome to go back to the food of what it was having, because you don't have any influence. You can get away with one meal, 2 meals out, to celebrate. But if you don't go back to your diet, you just fuck up all the progress. And I'm sure Zimmermann with his client, that's where he saw the most progress. It was the same with Rania, same amount of progress.
So this athlete, Zimmermann, she's eating a cheat meal every day, and she has no bad. Because when I eat the cheat meal once a week, usually I can sleep actually worse because it's so much fat in a way
Yes.
for me. So she's not sleeping worse. Everything is fine.
She's telling me, always giving me feedback, and I trust her now after like 20 weeks or what? Yeah, 25 already. But like Tolga said, it's just you can have a day off and then you need to go back to work. Some athletes need a 2 weeks break, eat whatever they want, go up by 15 pounds, water and everything, and then you first need to diet them down again, like kind of adding cardio, lose water, up the water again, and then you lose another 2 weeks. And then after 4 weeks, you have kind of a baseline where you, of course, cannot start with 3,000 calories. And it's just when, like Tolga said, if you go like one day after the competition, have your free meal, have your free breakfast, for example, the day after, and then after this meal, you should also have your plans ready that the athlete can follow, because if you're an athlete and waiting like 5, 6, 7 days for your reverse diet, that's also not working from the coach side.
That's a big
Explain,
thing.
Tolga, no cardio when you're eating. I like cardio. I do it every day, year round. But for cardio, you're eating 6,000 calories and you have no cardio for weeks and weeks and weeks. Explain, Tolga, because I saw the post with your wellness girl there, Rafael. She was eating 5,000, no cardio. Explain, Tolga, no cardio, your opinion on that while you're eating so much food.
It can happen, right? Some athletes can get away with it because the metabolism is fast. But if they're training really hard and they're doing their steps and they're timing their meals correctly and they're not cramming meals together, it can happen. That's it's just simple. You do the work, but you have to be programmed to do that. So I'm sure Zimmermann is like me. He programs his athletes to be on a routine daily. Meals are at this time. Don't miss this. Don't fuck this up. Everything is routine. I've got some clients that don't do cardio as well. They don't need to. They do 15,000 steps a day, and that's more than enough for them. It's very simple.
You monitor resting heart rate, blood pressure, blood sugar, right? And if that's on point, and also like AJ said, it's a wellness client. So cardio with 4 days a week training legs and glutes might be counterproductive if she's about to start prep and you also want kind of a deload before.
Yeah,
so
it can also hinder them before prep starts with cardio. If you're slamming a client with 30 minutes, like especially wellness, 30 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week, they're training 4 or 5 times a week legs, where are you going to go? Like, get their sleep in check, get their food in check, get their blood sugar in check, get their steps in check. Once you have those 4 together and they're going to the bathroom regularly and everything's moving good, you put in 20 minutes of walking. That's more than enough.
And also, Zimmermann, explain a little bit quickly, how beneficial is it for you as the coach to have the girls, when they're doing this, actually that you give them the food plan and obviously with some options compared to them doing their own thing? Because I know some of the girls, when they do their own macros, and some of them can't even count. How easier is it for a coach when you give the food plan with some options, and instead of them just doing whatever and say, yeah, I think it's 6,000?
It depends, because when somebody's used to that, like Mary, for example, we can put her in. She's only eating on macros, but she has food choices. And that's not a lot, as we all know. I think the problem is the people just become like afraid of food. They dieting over years and they are chronically undereaten, or what is it? Do you say undereaten?
Undereating, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they finally learn to eat enough and they see, okay, hey, I'm much healthier when I'm in a surplus and everything is going better and better. I mean, Carla doesn't feel comfortable right now, of course not, but she wants to grow into women's physique and there's some discomfort required, but also a growth phase requires trust. And if your athlete is not willing or not, if they are afraid, and especially women, we all know this, have some kind or coming out of eating disorders, and they first need to learn again to eat, you cannot put them on 5,000 calories. They would be like, it would be a disaster for them. But the future will likely continue toward this bigger, and more blurry between women's physique, women's bodybuilding. But at the same time, we see athletes getting health problems. So it's really crucial, like also Tolga is doing this blood sugar, rest heart rate, blood pressure, at least blood work, and check your heart, check your kidneys, do these scans and everything, because
Simple.
It's so unhealthy. This sport is so unhealthy, but at the same time, you can do it healthy, but you cannot eat pizza, drink beer, and do whatever. You need to stick to your rice, chicken, and whatever. And then, yeah, you can get away with it, I think.
Insulin, Tolga. If you are running this 6,000 calories, is this something that they would need? Does everyone need insulin to this? Is it beneficial to do insulin for this? Is it fast acting or slow acting? When you have these 6,000 calories, is insulin beneficial? Could it be beneficial?
Yeah, it is very beneficial, especially if you're chewing that much food down, and it will help with like pancreatic load. But I've learned over the past 5 to 6 months using insulin with some of my female athletes that using the long-acting insulin just gets them fluffy. Have you noticed that, Zimmermann? Like it just spills them very quick. They get a lot of water retention. I prefer just Nova Rapid or like Liz Pro, fast-acting insulin that you have with either each meal, depending on what meal it is, pre-workout, post-workout. Like honestly, insulin is overlooked. It just works so well, and people give it such a bad name.
So fast-acting, in your opinion, it's a better look than the slow-acting that usually people take in the morning and things like this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think maybe that has to do with also when you do it around training and then you use some more amino acids like whatever. I like glycine and beta-alanine, citrulline pre-workout, then another shake with glutamine, EAAs post-workout. And if you combine all that, then the insulin is more productive for your body, and it can be used better. The nutrients can get shuttled better into the muscles and not storage so much fat. But I personally do when they are really like 7,000 calories or whatever, 6, 7.
Yeah.
With meal one, just 10 units of lentils. And then Carla is doing it with every other meal, I think.
The fast
acting, like 5 units or so.
Yeah.
And that titrates up to 30 units of insulin, what women are using, We get a lot of hate for this, Imagine, but this is the truth. This is the reality. They want to know how did she grow so fast? Yeah, she did insulin. Of course, she took gear over a period of time. Now she's off because we start prep soon. But you can always only do this when the athlete is listening 100%. And of course, AJ, it's easier when they stick to a set meal plan.
Yeah.
So 30 units of insulin. So when does it become too much insulin, Tolga? When can it become too much? And what could be some of the dangers? Because obviously insulin is it can be dangerous when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
We don't recommend any athletes to start doing this without knowing what they're doing.
Yeah. First of all,
when can it be too much?
Don't just go ahead and just be like, oh, they're doing it, so I'm going to do it too. Yeah. Get a coach that understands how it works, understand yourself, what you're getting yourself into while using it. There is two main factors when using insulin: going hypo and not understanding what that means. It means you're burning through the carbohydrates too quick and you've used maybe a little bit too much for that meal. And then second of all, you only use slow-acting insulin at certain times of the day. I know I've had some athletes like use Lantus at night, but that's because they're eating like almost 1,200 grams of carbs a day, so it needs to just keep going. But doing that daily, I think I've had 3 or 4 athletes do that for about 2 months straight. It's a burden, especially with insulin. Like it does speed things up too quick and you sort of catch yourself on the back burner with that. So looking out for, honestly, low blood sugar. You don't want to be too low all the time, and making sure that you're eating at the right time. I've noticed some athletes go, yeah, I'll just take my insulin, and then they wait. And you're like, no, you need to eat now. Like you understand what it does. And when it hits them, they notice and they're like, oh, I feel sick. And they start eating gummy bears and drinking sugar. And
this is how people get fat.
Yeah. And that's how you get fat. That is literally how you get fat. Especially, and there's also a link to this. Like people don't put 2 and 2 together. Good fats are good fats, but they're still a fat. So insulin is a storage hormone. It's going to store whatever you give it. But if you preface towards your nut, seeds, avocado, you're not going to store it as much as it would be like shitty fats from a cheeseburger. It's different. I don't know if you have the same thought process there, Zimmermann, but I do. Like, I'd rather have an athlete eat 100 grams of fats from avocados, nuts, and seeds than have cheese, butter, and like crap.
Yeah, I try to look at first. You start. I don't think you also start with every day 30 units of insulin.
No.
You may do it on a weaker body part day, and there I lower fats, for example.
Yeah.
And then you
what's
go
the?
higher.
Can we explain that, Zimmerman? What is? Because I see it a lot. What is the purpose of using insulin on a weaker body part?
Yeah, because you can eat more.
And then you
When
think
we
you're
eat-
growing
when we eat
more.
carbs, the blood glucose. When we eat carbs, the blood sugar, the blood glucose rise, and the insulin helps move the nutrients out of the bloodstream into the tissue. So that includes also muscles, and insulin is also involved in replenishing glycogen stores, which become increasingly important as training volume, body weight, and muscularity increase. So when an athlete is consuming extremely large amounts of food, especially carbs, nutrient handling becomes a much more important part. And when you have more food on these weaker body part days, then there's a point for insulin. Doing insulin, maybe start with pre and post workout. And then you titrate up the food. And then, yeah, it makes sense. But I wouldn't recommend it first time doing it before leg day, because there you can have these crashes, and I tell them to always have a full sugar Coke with them, because that's safe. If you feel like
you were laughing on leg day with insulin. What? Explain.
I've had it happen to me many times. So
Okay.
it is the worst
right.
feeling on a leg day. You stack the hack squat, you've done like a whole set, you get off and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Gummy bears.
One thing about that, this is a little off topic, but what is the reason I see some coaches are adding, like on your weak body part day, let's add in Superdrol or Anavar or whatever, and they only do it on weak body parts day. I've never understood, because it's not like you're going to grow more that day just because you take Anavar that day. But what is the reason for this, Tolga, to add in Superdrol or the like Anadrol and on just your weekday? What is the point?
I think it's kind of silly just to throw one compound on one specific day, to be honest. Like you're just throwing a grenade into a fire, not knowing if it's going to explode or if it's going to kill everything around it. Like you're just doing it on one day. And first of all, Superdrol, yeah, okay, more in a contest prep setting, I think it's more useful. Anadrol, yes, can be really, really beneficial. But for a female to use Anadrol, in my opinion, it better be very, very low. But it makes sense, but you could just understand that if it's your weaker body part and you want to bring that up, bring your volume down on your stronger body part and bring the weaker volume on the training up on the weaker body part. It's that simple. Train it more frequently, and train it heavier. But just to throw a PD at one body part, sort of just like you lose.
Zimmerman, do you grow more by adding Anavar the day of your weaker body? Because it's not like you're going to get much stronger on Anavar, to be honest.
Yeah, first that, but I also think they try to do it as healthy as possible, to do it only on 1 or 2 days. So you have at least another 5 days where you don't do it, so it's not an issue. So there are no
But how long is the metabolite for Anadrol?
Yeah, pretty long.
Yeah, so it's still in your system.
So.
Yeah, it's still in your system.
Exactly. But this, we just do it twice a week or whatever, and then it's not that toxic or whatever. And also maybe they feel stronger in the gym, and then they think subconsciously, oh, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting better, this is working. But no, I also don't think that make any sense.
What would you prefer to do? What would you prefer to do?
Yeah, like cycles, like 4 weeks or so.
Yeah.
4 weeks, 4 weeks on or 6 weeks on, like Turinabol or any oral, like for 4 to 6 weeks, and then you go off for 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, I like to do that.
Makes way more sense to me.
Yeah, I like to front load Anavar for 4 weeks and then sort of taper it off and then keep going with the normal cycle. I think a lot of people. And the reason I do that is very simple, because the normal esters take a little bit while to kick in and boost. But some coaches go, yeah, okay, let's start off with the injectables, and the injectables take 8 weeks to sort of hit the top serum level, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, let's just throw 20 milligrams of Anavar at you at 8 weeks, and you're like, what? Why not start at the start of the cycle in the off season? Like, why are you doing it in the middle? You lost everything there.
I hope people now got an understanding of why the 6 calorie, some are for, some are against. I hope you got some information to take home and what to do, what not to do. At least you learned something. Before we go, we just saw the pictures, Tolga. We saw 2025 Rookie of the Year, Rania. And even though she hasn't gained so much weight, the look is completely different. Talk to us a little bit about this offseason, because she's bringing a much more mature muscle density. It's a complete different look in density. What did you do this?
Honestly, I just told her, get better at training. Just get better at training. More intense sets. Push yourself further. And I have this new slogan now that all my athletes love me saying, you got more to give. I think a athlete sort of stops in prep or an off season and they go, yeah, well, I'm eating all the food. I'm taking the drugs. That will get me by, right? To put on size. But realistically, it's your training and your nutrition is the most important thing. And as we all know, especially you, AJ, I've told you, Ranya's not taking very much. Even in off-season, she took nothing. And people are telling me, Tolga, how'd you do this? Though she must be on a lot. No, I just told her, train better, train harder, and eat better. That's all we did. And also, she's very hungry for what she wants. She wants that Olympia qualification. She wants this more than anyone else. And I want this for her as well. As her husband, I want to get her there, but we want to do it safe and healthy and make sure she takes care of herself, and she is. But the biggest thing was she took over her own training program. I said, I'm going to let you write your own training program. You do it. And she did, and she's brilliant at it. And I go to the gym with her. I don't train with her. I train her through her training program on certain days, and she just excels. She will give everything she's got, and she'll come home and collapse.
Did you say she took nothing for off-season? Is that what you said?
No,
Did
no.
you really say that?
No, I didn't.
No, can you go into a little bit how long was, like 12 weeks on?
We did 10 weeks on because we found out one of the compounds was just oil again, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so much shit is fake now. It's ridiculous.
I know.
I got Prima Bolin sitting downstairs. That's test prop, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Inject it yourself.
Yeah, might as well just take it myself.
So she was only on for 10 weeks. Wow.
Only on for 10 weeks, but I did a bridge. So before off season, we did like a little mini health phase. Blood work was perfect. I pushed the TRT up a little bit, bridged her, and then put in about 5 milligrams of Anavar, and then increased that to 10 milligrams of Anavar per day. And then put in a little bit of Primobolan at like 50 milligrams, and then started pushing in NPP in combo, pulled the Anavar out, pushed the NPP out on only training days because she was only training 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. And she just kept revolving like that. At 10 weeks, I called it and was like, okay, we're ready for prep. Let's start pre-prep, clean up, get healthy, and go.
So she was only doing Primo and NPP like 50 of each?
Yeah.
Wow. For women's bodybuilding, Zimmermann, we have some wellness girls 4 times the amount of this.
I wanted to say 4 times as much, yes. And
But
4 times as compounds also.
Oof.
But I think they're used to that mentality because their previous coaches kept saying, Larry, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. It always starts with the coach. The coach tells you, hey, this is what I want you to do. And you think it's acceptable because you don't know any better. You just don't know any better. And I'm sure Zimmermann's got girls on like nothing basically and still making progress. I leverage a lot of the bioidentical stuff, growth hormone, TRT, insulin, because you can use it for way longer and also pull it out, put it in, pull it out, put it in whenever you want with no complication.
We will see
at a certain
Zimmermann.
point.
It runs out in 1 minute. I can see it. So Zimmermann, we will see you in Spain. We were going to make an epic, hardcore female bodybuilding Spain episode where we will see Alcione and Nastenka and Branca and Martina Lopez live. Great bodybuilding. And we will watch the stream for Tampa Pro, Tolga, because some girls are going down when Rania comes in, correct? They're going down. And
Quickly, who do you have for this weekend?
I got Nadia.
Same.
What about you, Zimmermann?
Yeah, too.
Yeah. And women's physique, I got Sarah the Blade Bradley. She's gonna smoke the lineup. And
Blade.
she's gonna get a lot of haters after saying that she is a women's bodybuilder. But that's what we like to see.